Good afternoon, and welcome to the afternoon session of the Symposium. I'm Kevin Butler from the University of Oregon, and it's my privilege to be the session chair for this track. This is the Attacks 2 session. I'd like to extend a welcome to not only those of us here locally in San Francisco, but to those watching over the internet. This is the first time that we have a session that's going to be broadcast for future use. So there are 3 great papers in this session. And our first one is Signing Me Into Your Accounts Through Facebook and Google, a traffic-guided security study of commercially deployed single sign-on web services. Rui Wang is going to be presenting. This is a really neat paper. It shows how even protocols that we thought we understood, such as single sign-on, can pose new challenges when used in interesting and new ways. So, Rui.
Good afternoon. The topic of this presentation is about a security study of commercially deployed single sign-on web services. I am Rui Wang from Indiana University, and this is the work with Shuo Chen from Microsoft Research and Xiaofeng Wang from Indiana University. So, what is web-based single sign-on? We know that today many big websites, such as Facebook, Google, they provide sign-on services through web APIs, and other websites integrate those services to their websites. For example, if you come to smash.com, which is a popular project management website, if you want to log in here, you can either use your username, password. Alternatively, if you have a Google account, you can simply click this button, and you will be able to log in. See, I am here. Similarly, if you come to Sears.com and you have a Facebook account, you can simply click this button and you will be able to log into Sears. So it's quite convenient. A survey showed that a majority of web users prefer to use web-based single sign-on instead of traditional login. So it's quite popular. During the single sign-on process, there are communications happen among 3 parties. That is the web browser, the identity provider website, such as Facebook or Google, the relying party website, such as Sears.com. Here we call the identity provider IDP in short, and the relying party website RP in short. And for simplicity of this presentation, we always assume that the web user Alice has already logged into the IDP website before the SSO happens. And the goal of the SSO is to convince the RP website that IDP believes this particular browser represents Alice. So it's quite straightforward. There is already a line of previous research about the security of SSO. They're about to build tools to verify the security properties of SSO, of formalized SSO protocols. But our research is complementary to those research because we are about to report an extensive field study of commercially deployed SSO systems. This is like the protocol verification research is about to study a well-formalized map. And our study is to come to the real world and check out the real world details. Whatever how thorough you study the map, it's always valuable to come to the real world and see what happened there. But there is a challenge ahead of us, because as a real world study, we are not able to get the source code of the IDP website, the RP website, as long as the direct communication between the IDP and RP websites. What we can see is just the content going through the browser. But this disadvantage also comes with a positive side. That is, whatever we can find, there is no reason that the real-world attacker cannot, because we don't use any insider information. This makes our findings even more serious, more dangerous. In our study, we found 8 logic flaws, and every single one of them allowed us to log into the victim's RP accounts. And among the 8 flaws, 5 of them are quite generic because they affect several RP websites. And we recorded attack demos for all of the flaws. Now let me show you one of them. Here it is smartsheet.com. You just saw it a minute ago. It is in the attacker's browser. You can see the attacker's ID is robber@gmail.com, but the robber is actually able to log into the victim user Alice smartsheet.com account. Here we go. It is Alice here. Just to double check the identity, it is indeed alice@gmail.com. And I will show you exactly how this can happen in the later slide. And before that, let me give you a little bit of background information. When we talk about the communications between the browser and the websites, we talk about HTTP messages. The HTTP messages consist of a request from the browser to the website and a response. In the SSO process, a typical message would be like this. The 1B response, which is from the RP website to the browser, is a HTTP 302 redirection response in which the location header points to Facebook with a set of arguments. And then the next request, 2A, is a GET request to get this location. So essentially, through this redirection, the RP website is able to relay a set of arguments from through the browser to the IDP website. Here, Facebook is the IDP, and the RP is another website. So this kind of data relay is very common in the SSO, and not only through redirections, but also other means such as JavaScript or Adobe Flash, etc. So it is more natural to use the term browser-related messaging, or BRM in short, to describe the SSO. There is nothing fancy here. A BRM consists of a response plus the next browser request. So that is BRM1 is 1B plus 2A, and BRM2 is 2B plus 3A. That's it. An example of BRM is like this. There is a source domain a.com and a destination facebook.com with a set of argument cookies, set cookies, and it naturally describes what data has been transferred from one website to another, and it's better for us to describe the SSO process. For the adversary scenarios, we consider all the threats as a false malicious party Bob who want to involve in the communication of the 3 benign parties. Now, with the 4 parties, we can form 4 SSO triangles. That is Alice, IDP, Bob, Bob, IDP, RP, Alice, IDP, RP, and Alice, Bob, RP, in which we ignore the Alice, Bob, RP triangle, because this will require Bob act like an IDP, and this often requires some kind of phishing, and we don't consider this in our current study, so we will ignore this scenario. Now we have 3 attacker scenarios. Scenario 1 is Bob, IDP, RP, in which Bob acts like a web browser to communicate with the IDP and RP websites in order to collect sufficient data which allow him to log into the RP website as Alice. Scenario B is Alice, IDP, Bob, in which Bob acts like a RP to communicate with Alice and IDP in order to collect sufficient data which allow him to log into RP as Alice. And the scenario C is Alice, IDP, RP, in which Bob is a malicious page in Alice browser. And because of this page, Bob is able to affect the communications among the 3 benign parties and is able to collect sufficient data and will be able to log into RP as Alice. In order to facilitate our research, we built a BRM traffic analyzer. And this tool is to extract useful semantic information from the raw web traffic. The tool is available online through ssl-analysis.org. In order to use this tool, what you need to do is to collect 3 raw traffic traces. An example trace is like this, kind of complicated. And you need to collect 3 of them, then you submit the trace. The tool will be able to generate abstract traces for all the 3 attacker scenarios. And an example abstract trace is like this. Essentially, it is a set of BRM messages, and we label the data with format information, SSL-related semantics, such as which data is secret, which data is signature, etc., and also how the data propagates among the BRM messages, and also the readability, writability of the attacker on specific field. This tool is a very handy tool, and we use the tool to help us understand the SSL mechanism, also understand how the attacker can affect the SSL process. But after that, it is a manual process to lead to our findings. And then now we will come to the most interesting part, and also our major contribution, which is the studied cases and our findings. We will introduce 2 cases here. The first case is about the deployment of Google ID. Google ID is based on OpenID standard. Here we show the abstract trace generated for attacker scenario A. There are a lot of fields, and we highlighted a few of them for our description, such as this OpenID.sig, which according to our observation is a signature. So what happened here? Essentially, there are 3 BRM messages. BRM1 is from relying party website to Google, in which it carries 2 important fields. Realm, which takes the RP's identity information, and required, which carries email, comma, first name, comma, last name. Essentially, required tells Google that the RP website wants to get the user's email address, first name, last name. And the BRM2 is not important for the description. BRM3 is from Google to a relying party website, which carries the user's email address, first name, last name, and it is signed by a signature. And all the data which are signed are included in this signed field. So the RP website will verify if Google's signature is correct, and if it is, it will welcome the user Alice. So what is the problem here? In reality, many RP websites will use email address to identify the users. Now let's assume that Bob knows Alice's email address, and we know that we're considering attacker scenario A, in which Bob acts like a web browser. Here is what you see in the video. The relying party website sends the BRM1 and through the browser. And what Bob do is to remove the email and then send the BRM1 to Google. From Google side, what it sees is that the relying party wants to get the user's first name and last name. So it will give the first name, last name, and then sign with this signature. Then what Bob do is to add Alice's email address and then send it to our RP website. Now the situation becomes tricky because what we found is that many RP websites, they only check if Google's signature is correct. And in this situation, it is Google's signature is indeed correct. But it does not mean that all the data on this message are verified. It only means the data included in the signed list are verified, but the email is not there. So the RP website will say Google signature verified. So let's welcome user Alice at a.com. We reported this problem to Google and OpenID Foundation. They published the security advisories to address this issue. The second case is Facebook Connect, which is Facebook's SSO. Here is the actual trace generated for the attacker scenario A, in which Bob acts like a RP website. Essentially, there are three BRM messages. BRM1, the source domain is bob.com, and the destination is IDP, which is Facebook. And there is an important field, which is called FID. It is a unique ID, which represents bob.com. And then the second BRM is from Facebook to another Facebook page, which carries a secret called result. And this result represents the Facebook user. Then BRM3 is from this Facebook page to bob.com page. And this is the browser-side communication, which transfers this secret to bob.com. From this trace, we can see an obvious attack, which is in BRM1, Bob will set FID as NY times FID. So from Facebook side, it will see that, oh, okay, it is for NY times. So it will generate a secret for NY times and send it to the Facebook page. And then in BRM3, this secret will be sent to bob.com. So will this obvious attack work? It will not. It will be stopped at BRM3 because this client-side or browser-side communication mechanism depend on same origin policy to protect the secret. And one of such client-side mechanism is using Adobe Flash. Let me show you how this works. From nytimes.com page, it will pop up a window which load fbcdn.net page. fbcdn.net belongs to Facebook, and there will be flash A on fbcdn.net and the flash B on nytimes.com. Both flash are loaded from Facebook domain. And for the secret, the part of the secret, the first hop will be from fbcdn.net to flash A, and then from flash A to flash B. This will go through because it is same domain communication. And then because flash B is trusted, it will guarantee that it will only deliver the secret to a domain which belongs to NY times. But how about now we have bob.com, and of course, Bob can load his own flash object B. But now the communication from A to B will not happen because it is between two different domains. Now, our question is it true that Adobe Flash only supports same domain communication? And we brought this question to a Flash expert, and his answer is no. There is one mechanism which is called unpredictable domain communication. Essentially, as long as Flash A is willing to send and Flash B is willing to receive, they can communicate in different domains. So we are able to craft a Flash B in bob.com, and which will be able to obtain the secret from Flash A through this unpredictable domain communication. And we reported this bug to Facebook. They, after they confirm it, they fixed it within the same day. We reported all the flaws to the affected companies. They all fixed the bugs and they acknowledged us. Google and the OpenID Foundation published a few security advisories to address some of the flaws. Our work also received several news coverage from the media. Now, I want to talk about a few lessons that we learned in this study. So when we look at the flaws, we realize that most of our time was spent on understanding the system details. More specifically, every flow has its variations, and those variations come from the details of the individual systems. For example, how the coverage of a signature is determined, how the browser protects the secrecy of a token, or how the accounts are linked, and many others. Because of these variations, the flaws are very hard to foresee before we really sit down and spend time on examining the concrete deployment cases. So this work is not about pure logical reasoning. It is about concretely understand the system details of the deployments. And this is also why in the motivation slide I mentioned that this work is a field study. The second thing is people often talk about protocols, but these real systems are not protocols. The practice is like the SSO service providers. They provide APIs and sample code and documentation. And the web developers, they follow the sample code and documentation to integrate the SSO services. Now, in this process, a protocol often serves as a very loose guidance. And this leaves a lot of gray areas. On the one hand, the gray areas give the developers flexibility on programming. But on the other hand, give much space for them to make security errors, as shown by our study. The second thing we want to emphasize is that the underlying runtime systems matter. For example, if you don't know all the behaviors of Adobe Flash, logically correct protocol will be insecure when it is deployed to the real system. In conclusion, our study showed that logic flaws pervasively exist in many commercially deployed SSO websites, and every single one of the flaws allow us to sign in to the victim's RP accounts. And the flaws are discovered using browser traffic without any insider information. And these are issues in the real-world deployments, not at the protocol design level. We really appreciate people who helped a lot during every stage of this research. Thank you very much.